Football season flying, holiday season flying, little over a week until Christmas. I can't even believe it. Welcome back to the Kenny C Show. I am your host, Kenny C. You'll want to hit that subscribe button for those that don't subscribe, because I bring that entertainment, bring that energy, bring the facts, bring the opinions, and most of all, I want to hear from each and every one of you guys in the comment section below. In today's episode, Week 15 big game breakdown. We're going to talk about the hottest games from the Week 15 slate as we head into now Week 16. And we got to start with the 10-4 Bills and now the 11-3 New England Patriots. That's right, Josh Allen goes into Foxborough, sticks the Bills flag in figuratively, because he makes a statement. He says, hold on a minute, Matty Stafford, I know you're balling out, but let me hold my beer real quick. I'm going to make a case for MVP, putting the Bills on his back. They trailed 24-7 at the end of the first half. The Bills come away with a comeback victory, 35-31. A lot of people who had their doubts about New England and their abilities because of their quote-unquote weak schedule outside of that Bills game, that was the biggest thing. The Bills game was really, this Bills game coming in was the game where people said, all right, if New England goes out there and gets a statement dub against the Bills, we'll be believers in them. I personally am still a very strong believer in the New England Patriots and in Drake May, in Mike Vrabel, and what this Patriots team has done throughout this season. Mike Vrabel's an outstanding coach. You cannot take that away. And what they did in the offseason and bringing the pieces that they did and the way that Drake May has been playing and operating this offense, I think it's undeniable that they are also a great team. But Josh Allen just solidifying, put me in the conversation. I could go back-to-back with MVP here. This guy had 194 total yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half. They rallied back. The Patriots offense flatlined in the second half. You had the interception that Tre'Davious White caught, and then the Bills turned it into points. You had a couple of punts. You had a turnover on downs for the Patriots. James Cook doing his thing, 107 yards on 22 carries and 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen's stat line, when it was all said and done, 193 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 120.7 passer rating. This guy in the month of December against the Bengals and against the Patriots, 7 touchdowns, 0 turnover. The Patriots had that second to last drive in which May was sacked by Matt Milano. That was a gigantic sack. And then on the final drive, they had the turnover on downs, and Drake May in this game was held to under 200 yards passing for the first time this season. 155 passing yards for May. It's a learning point for him. You're going up against the big dog Buffalo Bills. I knew when they were down 21-0, I said, nah, this game is far from over. This is Josh Allen. This is the Bills. He's going to put his team on his back and do some miraculous stuff. And sure enough, he does. From Josh Allen to Bo Nix. You look at the stats here for Bo Nix in a huge game against the Green Bay Packers at home in Denver. This kid balled out, 23 for 34, 302 yards, 4 total touchdown passes for Bo Nix. He was on fire. He showed everybody. He showed the naysayers, including myself. I was a big Bo Nix hater in terms of the Broncos as a team and relying on fourth quarter comebacks. Well, I assure you, for those that saw the game, they did not need no sort of fourth quarter miracle. They dominated the Packers when all was said and done. In that second half, albeit we'll get into the nooks and crannies of it, but the Broncos come away with a big victory as the Patriots lose. The Broncos win. They're 12-2, sitting pretty in the 1 seed spot. Sean Payton and Nix really orchestrated in this game, from the play call to the operation of it and the execution of it. Denver with a 34-26 victory over Green Bay. The biggest loss in this game for the Packers, undoubtedly, Micah freaking Parsons, man. My guy, 12 sacks, the only player in NFL history with 12+ sacks in his first 5 seasons, leading the league with 64 pressures right now as he goes down, a crippling blow to the Green Bay Packers. This was just a brutal loss for them. An irreplaceable player. You got to have Lucas Van Ness. You got to have Kingsley Enagbare. You got to have Rashawn Gary step up. Rashawn Gary hasn't had a sack in 2 months. That is a problem. That is a gigantic hole that this team is going to have now without Parsons on that D-line and as a linebacker and the versatility that he brings. So you cannot speak enough about what Parsons means to this team. He will be back. He's 26 years old. No doubt in my mind, he will be back better than ever next season. Look at Christian Watson. He suffered it. He came back and was his same explosive self. That's another loss in this game for the Packers. Christian Watson with the chest injury was not able to continue on in the second half after that interception that Love threw, which, by the way, a lot of people faulting Love for that. I like the call. Be aggressive. You're up 9 points. Going for the kill shot. Maybe not on first down. That's where I would be like, all right, why are we taking a shot there? Love also tried that again. I think it was the second half as well, if not the first half, where he tried to go for a deep shot, kind of double coverage. This one was just outstanding, an outstanding athletic play from the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain. He makes a great play on that ball. Love steps up. He's getting pressured by Allen in his face, gets the throw off. It's just a great play by Surtain. No matter which way you cut it, that's just a great play. But Bo Nix, the accuracy that he had, the ability on the run to make plays and make good, accurate throws downfield. He was great in the pocket, great pocket presence. I mean, they just dialed it up. Marvin Mims with the early motion, Troy Franklin with the early pre-snap motion. Sean Payton just dialed it up from an offensive standpoint. And the Broncos just did their thing in the second half. But the Packers have immense holes in the secondary from Keyshawn Nixon. I mean, just a systemic problem really on this defense. Week in and week out, this guy's getting burnt one way or another. He got burnt on that Sutton touchdown. It's just a problem. And Carrington Valentine didn't have a good game whatsoever. Losing Evan Williams with a knee injury, losing Zach Tom. These are big injuries for the Packers. Fortunately enough, no ligament damage to the knee of Zach Tom. That's huge. Christian Watson could play in the big clash on Saturday in Chicago, NFC North battle that could decide the division. Having Watson in that game is essential. So let's hope that he can suit up. But the Packers, man, really going through the ringer. Evan Williams with a knee injury as well. They said that there's no major damage there. He won't be out long term, but if he's out against Chicago, that's a big hole to fill when you try to stop Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. Evan Williams is a safety that flies downhill and makes plays in the run defense facet of the game. So the Packers just suffering a lot of big injuries in this one. On top of that, getting the loss here, falling to 9-4-1. When you look at what they've lost in totality, Devontae Wyatt, Tucker Kraft, you already lost Elkton Jenkins, your center / guard / tackle, because the guy's so versatile. He does it all. So the Packers offensive line really struggled in the second half. That's a point of contention from this game. That's a takeaway from this game. Really struggled. Rasheed Walker on the left side, 3 penalties. He had a bad game. Darian Kennard really struggled with Jonathan Cooper off the edge at the right tackle position. This was a rough game for the Packers. The two huge moments of the game when Denver takes the lead, when the Packers surrender the 9-point lead, you had 2 different drives in which you had an opportunity to go down the field, get a touchdown, and hopefully tie it with a 2-point, and the Packers were not able to execute. The offensive line could not hold up. Nobody could really get open. I get it. It's a mental struggle when you lose 2 of your key cogs on both sides of the ball. But the fact of the matter is, moving forward from here on out, the Packers offense needs to elevate. Jordan Love needs to elevate if they want any shot of making a run at this thing. Because when you lose a guy like Parsons on defense with the secondary already playing like how it's playing, and now the offensive line is banged up even further, the Packers need to have some lights out play from Jordan Love. The O-line with the 2 sacks on the first turnover on downs drive in the fourth quarter. Then the Packers get another shot at it with like a minute 55. Just could do nothing with the ball, taking penalties and having a 3rd and 4th and long situation, just not really able to do anything with it. The second interception that Love threw, that ball is a little behind Wicks, and that caused it to be picked off. Packers have to regroup here and go into Chicago and get a statement victory against all odds. I don't know why they're still favored -2.5, because that's where they were. That's what they were going into this game against Denver. Vegas, stop favoring the Packers, please. For the superstition that I have, just stop. This is going to be a huge game against Chicago. The Packers got to go out there, despite the injuries, and punch Chicago in the mouth. Moving on to another big game from the slate. Old Man River, he still keeps throwing. Phillip Rivers 44 years old, Uncle Phil, Old Man Rivers, coming back into the NFL, getting elevated from the practice squad and being the starter, going into a tough game against the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle pulls it out to improve to 11-3 with an 18-16 victory. The Colts now on the outside looking in at 8-6. They're in the hunt. Oh, baby. When you look at this game, though, both quarterbacks struggled in the first half. Sam Darnold struggled, as well as Phillip Rivers in terms of big numbers and scoring drives. Phillip Rivers struggled, but when you go watch the tape, I watched the tape. I just told you guys with the Packer game, or did I tell you? If I didn't mention it, I watched the tape. Every week, NFL Pro, go get that for your boys for a Christmas gift. It's outstanding. You can watch every single play of every single game, every single snap. And I watched a number of Phillip Rivers snaps. The first throw of the game, that play to Jonathan Taylor, where he tried to hit him on the right side, that's a nice placed ball. If that's a receiver, they might get those feet in and make that catch. It was a tough catch nonetheless for anybody. Jonathan Taylor made a great effort, but they ruled it incomplete. But that throw from Phillip, and he has sort of that shot put throw that he's always had, where he's kind of pushing the ball almost, it worked. There was a number of nice throws that I saw from Phillip Rivers. When you look at his stat line, 18 for 27, buck 20, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, I think it kind of tells a different story, because when you watch his pocket presence and just making his reads and making the throws, he was zipping the ball in there. That 3rd and 6, that touchdown pass to Josh Downs to put the Colts up, that was a nice throw made by Phillip Rivers. And then you had 3rd and 7, you had the 16-yard pass play in the 4th quarter to Alec Pierce, and then they ran the ball a couple more times to set up a 60-yard field goal for Blake Grupe. He splits the uprights. You think, holy cow, is Phillip Rivers going to lead this team to a W? And then come Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. That pass to Rashid Shaheed, 17-yard pass from Darnold, setting them up at the Indy 47. 56-yarder from Myers, the Marist product. Shout out Marist College in little upstate New York, Poughkeepsie area in New York. What a job by Myers to split the uprights and get a big win for the Seahawks. But I thought, from what I saw with Steichen, dialing up the play call, having Josh Downs in motion, having Pierce in motion, they leaned on Taylor with 87 yards and 25 carries. And going into the half, you had a 13-6 ball game. The game was looking good. I mean, Phillip Rivers, you can't ask much more from the guy. This was a duel of a game between Seattle and the Colts, and I thought the Colts hung tough, but they got a tough go of it coming up. Monday Night Football against San Francisco, then you got Jacksonville, and then you're at Houston. So it's going to be a big test. A lot of people saying, well, Anthony Richardson was your 4th overall pick in 2023. What are we doing? I know he had the orbital bone fracture. So I think he might be cleared, but even if he's cleared, if I'm the Colts, if I'm not going with Old Man Rivers, I'm going to give the 6th round pick out of Notre Dame, Riley Leonard. Let him get some burn. This kid's got dual threat ability. He can throw the football, and he can sure as hell take off. We saw him do it at Notre Dame last year in that run to the national championship where they fell just short against Ohio State. I would let Riley Leonard get some burn before I let Anthony Richardson get some burn. I know how high of a draft pick Richardson was, but even on the field, he didn't really show you the most. After that injury to his shoulder, he wasn't quite the same. I'd let Riley Leonard get some burn if you're not going to go with Phillip Rivers, but I think Steichen's going to stick with Rivers, at least against San Francisco. Let's move right on along here to another huge game from this Week 15 slate. The Rams and Matty Stafford proving to everybody that they are still top dogs in this NFC. 41-34 victory over the Detroit Lions, an indoor game, moving the Lions now to 8-6 on the outside looking in an ever so tight NFC playoff picture. They are in the hunt, the Detroit Lions are. Goff and Stafford went head-to-head in this one, and you thought, oh boy, Stafford with the interception to Aiden Hutchinson. What an athletic play from that freak of nature out of Michigan. He had a 58-yard return with that interception. A great tackle by Parkinson, though. And you thought, uh-oh. And then you had Detroit taking the lead. 24-14 late in that second quarter, but Matty Stafford, down 10, says pump the brakes. I'm making a case at 37 years old for the MVP. I'm coming for that MVP. Look at Stafford's numbers here. He was 24 for 38, 368 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Pulled the Rams in front in the third quarter with a 26-yard strike to Colby Parkinson, 27-24, and then later on in that fourth, another touchdown to Colby Parkinson, 41-27, that put them up. What the Rams did efficiently in this game, neutralized Jahmyr Gibbs. 13 carries for 38 yards. That was the difference in this one. When you don't get Sonic going as a Detroit offense, you will struggle. You will struggle. They should have leaned on him when they were up 10. They didn't do so. The Rams did a great job of neutralizing him, and Stafford and company just say, hey, even with Devontae Adams, who's week to week going out with a hamstring injury, we still got Puka Nacua. We got Colby Parkinson. I'm Matt Stafford. I'm going to elevate my guys. That's what they do. And they come away with a big victory to improve to 11-3, sitting pretty in the 1 seed in the NFC. The Rams are a dominant dog, and if I had to make a pick right now, I would pick the Rams to win the Super Bowl. The final game that I'm going to look at here, the first time since 1998 that we will not have a playoffs that features Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes. Patty Mahomes unfortunately goes down with ACL injury in the back end of the game against the LA Chargers, a 16-13 statement W for the Chargers in this one. Patty Mahomes with that interception, a great play by Dayon Henley, the linebacker in coverage, makes a great play to pick off Mahomes in that second half. But this was a big win for the Chargers. And for all those people out there, my friends included, I got a couple friends, I was arguing with them. They want to say that Herbert's not a good quarterback. Herbert sucks. He's just as bad as Trevor Lawrence, which, by the way, 6 total touchdowns. I know it was against the Jets. Trevor Lawrence has been balling out. But Justin Herbert, put some respect on the freaking kid's name. This kid balled out too. 19 for 29, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Not the flashiest, but when you go back and you watch the tape, this kid looked crispy. He was stepping up in the pocket, making throws, making smart, accurate throws with pressure in his face. This is a big win for Herbert and the Chargers, who are hanging tough in this tight AFC. The AFC's gotten tighter, but Patrick Mahomes tearing the ACL. I think they said, what was it? I don't think it was UCL, LCL. It was another ligament in that knee that he also tore. So that's big for the Chiefs. And when you look ahead for the Chiefs, that's going to be tough to overcome when the season starts. Gardner Minshew comes in the game, throws an interception to Derwin James, and that was all she wrote. The Chiefs eliminated from playoff contention with this loss. When you look ahead for the Chiefs, they got problems with the health of their offensive line. You had Wanya Morris getting hurt. You had no Trey Smith against the Chargers in this game heading into it. Your stud guard, Jawan Taylor, was out last week and this week. He did not play. And Josh Simmons, your other tackle, was also hurt. So a banged up Chiefs offensive line in front of Pat Mahomes, who's trying to do it all with what he can around him. With the offensive line presented in front of him, he ends up getting hurt, tearing the ACL. And the Chiefs have to go out and they got to get a backup quarterback, and they probably have to shore up the offensive line. The most penalized tackle in football is Jawan Taylor. Maybe you start to look elsewhere. I don't think any of the Chiefs' offensive linemen are free agents after this season, but they have to look around and try to get some pieces in front of Patty Mahomes whenever he does come back. That's going to be a question mark to see how many games he's going to miss to start the season. Big blow for the Chiefs, but the Chargers go 2-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs. And for those that are saying, well, the Chiefs weren't the Chiefs this year, they're over the hill, this, that, and the third, they still have Andy Reid, and they still have Steve Spagnuolo calling plays defensively. 2 great football minds, 2 great coordinators. You cannot discredit what the Chargers were able to do this season against their AFC West foe. They took care of business. They get a big 16-13 victory, and they're trying to trudge on and stay alive in this playoff picture. Kenny C breaking it all down, and I will continue to do so. Moving forward into Week 16, hit that subscribe button, hit that comment section, and stay tuned, baby, because the football season keeps on burning through.